Okay, here we are. This is Contracts Law in Action. It's problem number 6 on page 161. In this instance, it's a different type of problem. This is one where the builder has entered into a losing contract. Okay, so the builder is going to lose money on this. The builder agrees to build a house for owner on owner's lot for $100,000. Builder starts working on it, and builder doesn't get paid anything, and the owner breaches by keeping the builder from doing any work more at that point. So see in the text that at the time of the breach, the builder had spent $50,000 for labor and for materials that are incorporated into the structure. Builder had also spent $10,000 to rent machinery needed to construct the house, and this hadn't been used and it can't be used anywhere else. The builder spent $20,000 on materials which have not been incorporated into the structure, I lost track here, and they are resold for $10,000. So there's a deadweight loss there of $10,000. So notice what we have first here. So we have the $50,000 spent so far on the text put it for labor and for materials, $10,000 on the equipment, another $20,000 on materials that have been brought to the site, right? But those $20,000 in materials can be resold for $10,000 here. So if we add back in $10,000 there, we can add $10,000 back in there, and we see he's only going to lose $10,000 on those materials. But then the text also says it's going to take another $160,000 in order to complete this contract. So 50, 10, 20, that adds to 80, plus another $60,000 is what it's going to take. It's going to cost a total of $140,000 to build this property. The contract price is only $100,000, so the builder expected to lose $40,000 if the builder completed this house. Okay, so the expectation interest for the builder, if the project is completed, is minus $40,000, a losing deal. Okay, but this particular contract is not yet complete, so we don't just take away $40,000. We have to figure out, what his damages would be. In this instance, there hasn't been a payment made. So we know $50,000 spent, another $10,000 on machinery, another $20,000 on materials, but those are resold for $10,000. So we add that $10,000 back in, and we see that at this point, the builder is out $70,000. Okay, see how that works? That's how much the builder is out of pocket right here, is this $70,000. Okay, so what is your profit on a deal equal? Or, how do you figure out what your profit or what your damages should be on a particular deal? Well, if you take what your profit would be on a deal and add to it your expenses, then those equal your damages. If you expect to spend $10,000 on a particular contract, but you expect to make $3,000, then we add, 3, and there's a complete, and there's a breach on it after you've spent your $10,000. Then we take your $3,000, add your 10, and your damages would be $13,000 in that instance. So in this instance, the expenses to this point have been minus 70. And the expected profit was, he spent $70,000, and the profit he expected was actually a loss of minus $40,000. So what I would say is we take minus 40, the expected profit, and we add to that the expenses at this point, which are 70. And so the expectation interest, or the damages here, is only $30,000. See, if we were to give, is only $30,000. If we, at this point in time, were to give $30,000 to the builder, who at this point is out, where's my number? At this point is out $70,000. If we give him $30,000, then he's going to be out 40, and that's where he expected to end up. So that's how the expectation interest works. Obviously, that's a lousy solution in that instance for the builder, particularly since the builder is the one who has experienced the loss here. So what can we do that's a little different in this circumstance? Let's see. So in A, to recover the expectation interest, we say he spent 70, but he expected to lose 40. So if we give him 30, he's exactly in the loss position that he expected to be in. What would his builder's recovery be if the goal is to protect the builder's reliance interest? Reliance puts you back to square one as if the contract has never happened, right? So if we give him back the $50,000, if we give him back the $10,000, and if we also give him back not the full 20, but if we give him back the $10,000, if we gave him the full 20, he'd be overcompensated, because he would never have purchased these had the contract not happened. So we should give him $10,000 there. So if we give him the $70,000 that he spent to this point, then that equals the reliance measure in that circumstance, and it takes him back to square one as if he had never met this owner in the first place. So notice, and this is one of those instances where $30,000 equals the expectation interest, but that the reliance interest is larger in this circumstance than the expectation interest. Flipping the page to 172, what do we say? What is the recovery if we're trying to protect the builder's restitution interest here? So restitution, as you know, looks restitution. It's hard to spell here. Why? I don't know why it's any harder to spell on camera than it is in class, but it's sometimes I mess up on the board too. So the restitution interest is what? Well, that's the value conferred on the owner, and we have, different estimates here. Given that there's trickiness to the estimates here. One is we might say that the value is the work that the builder has done on the property. That's $50,000, right? He's done $50,000 worth of work. But we have the problem here is that the $50,000 worth of work has only increased the value of the land $20,000. You say, how can that be? Well, maybe they were building something that was not a good idea to build. They're building something really ugly that lowered the value of the property, or building something just really complicated. The classic example for contracts professor is that you pay somebody $100,000 to build an incredibly ugly sculpture in front of your house that lowers the value of your property. It may cost $100,000 to build, but at the end of the day, your property is worth $20,000 less than it had been before. So probably the best measure of restitution here, I would say, is the $20,000 measure, because that's the benefit conferred on the owner here. That's one way to measure it. Although in this circumstance, we might be able to say $50,000, and particularly we could say $50,000 because it is the owner who has done the breaching here. Now we might find a little bit of guidance from the restatement here. But 374 deals with restitution. Well, no, that's restitution when the other party, 373, when the other party is in breach. We see the injured party is entitled to restitution for any benefit he has conferred on the other party by way of part performance or reliance. And, again, I think the measure of the benefit here is $20,000. So we got $20,000 in restitution. We got a larger reliance interest of $70,000 and a smaller expectation interest in the middle because it was a losing contract of $30,000. We're going to want to ask, obviously, for the highest measure for the person who suffered the breach here, the builder. The text asks, in a kind of wisecracking way, says which recovery would be most just? Well, it's a good question. If you give him $70,000, you're giving him more than he expected from the bargain. On the other hand, he's not the one that caused the breach, so why not give him the benefit? But you point out, contracts is not supposed to be about penalizing the person. $30,000 might be the best measure there. On the other hand, we kind of feel sorry for the guy, don't we? He expected to lose money. If we give him $30,000, then the owner ends up with some value, $20,000 worth of value. He has to pay $30,000, and this costs the builder a bunch of money to get there. Personally, I favor the reliance interest there, but you know that I have a little bit of sympathy, generally speaking, for plaintiffs and also for people who suffer breaches. So I can't give you a clear answer to what is just.